pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kent? Here. Mrs. Hebert? Here.
Here.
Fiscal Officer Lord Wolf continues the meeting as Chairman Pro Tem.
Second.
Mrs. Hebert?
Here.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Okay, at this time I need to take a nomination for chairman.
I'd like to express my interest in the nomination to be chair for the 2023 year. The reason being is since elected, I have been assigned to several committees to be the voice of Austintown at these locations, as well as I took it upon myself to go to additional committees to ensure that Austintown has a voice, which I think is definitely a requirement. We need to ensure that any policies that are being made in these communities or these committees are actually have the best interest of Austintown at heart. And to my understanding, to my knowledge, I am the only trustee that has attended these meetings. And I feel that is a really important part of not only being a trustee, but being the chair and the spokesman of the trustees. I think it's definitely an important part, and I definitely would be honored to receive a nomination so that way I can continue basically to just doing my hard work and doing what's best for Austintown. I think it's important, and it's a job of the chair to go to these meetings and ensure that we're heard of. So I hope that I receive a nomination. I would definitely be honored and I would appreciate it.
I'm also going to nominate myself. And when I assumed the chair position in mid-2022, I was assuming the remaining of Mr. Kent's responsibility for that year, 2022. I did not receive a full year, and I think I've earned that. I've lived here my entire life, and I know this community and our voters very well. Also, so does Mr. Kent, Mr. Santos, but I interact with the citizens on a face-to-face basis regularly, every day, whether it's at my place of business or throughout our community. I really didn't know that I was still campaigning, but I request that I have the chair for one more year, a full year, 2023, and I will do my best for the public. Thank you.
So Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you nominate yourself?
You did.
Okay. All right, so we have nominations for Monica and for Robert. So what do I do?
You want to call the roll on Robert? That was the first motion made.
Okay.
First nomination made, I should say.
Okay, first nomination was Robert. Roll call. Mr. Kent?
No.
Mrs. Devers?
No.
And do I call him Robert?
Doesn't, not necessarily, no, because it doesn't matter now.
Okay. Mr. Kent on Monica?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
No.
Do I call him
Mrs.
Monica?
Devers, yes.
Mrs. Devers? So chairman for 2023 will be Mrs. Monica Devers. Now I need nominations for vice chairman.
I would like to nominate Robert Santos for vice chair.
I'll accept that nomination.
Any others? Mrs. Devers?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Okay, and at this time, I'd like to request a motion to set regular meeting dates for 2023. Last year, we did the second and fourth Mondays at 6. Shall we do the same?
Yes.
Okay, so I need a motion to go the same.
So,
Second.
Mr. Santos?
yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mrs. Devers?
Yes.
this time, I'm going to adjourn the reorganizational meeting and turn the meeting over to Mrs. Devers. Can I need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Devers?
Yes.
Mr. Kent? Mr. Gates?
Yes.
At this time, I'll make the introduction. We have our senior center, Jim Henshaw. We have our park department, Todd Shaker. We have our fire chief, Andy Frost III. We have our police chief, Robert Gavalier. Our zoning department's not here today, he is in a hearing. We have our administrator and road supervisor, Mike Dockery. Off to my left, we have our fiscal officer, Lori Wolf. Off to my right, we have Austintown Township Trustees, Steve Kent. Off to my left, we have Austintown Township Trustee, Robert Santos. And I am Monica, Austintown Trustee. Monica Beard, Austintown Trustee. I really have it going on. Okay, we read this time, the administrator.
I have nothing to report. I just, under A, Department Business, you see concerning the cemetery rules. I've received some information before the meeting that I'd like to check into before we go any further on this. So I would just like you to, we'll put this on either the next meeting or the meeting thereafter.
Okay,
So you can move on to the
Motion to
police
continue,
department.
or
What's that?
motion to continue?
Yeah, motion to continue. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mrs. Devers?
yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Police department, Chief Cavalier.
As you know, we dispatch for a lot of other police departments and fire departments, and have a contract here tonight that I need to sign. We are going to start dispatching for Coatesville Fire Department. The contract's the same as the other ones. Mahoney County Prosecutor's Offices have drawn it up, and trustees from Coatesville signed it, and I'm asking for you to sign it tonight.
I see you had a number of calls this year, and you had posted that, and a large amount, and we appreciate that, and do a great job, and of course, just want to know that we appreciate it.
I just want to bring one other thing up, and I kind of wish Darren was here. On Javits Court, as you've seen in the email, Sam Boat has bought some property there. It's an old adult entertainment that we had. And years ago, the township tried to stop that establishment by putting it down on Javits Court, and I believe it went to the Supreme Court, and we lost it. And they opened adult entertainment in the business district there. And to me, it was, there's a lot of mental health services agencies in that area, and kind of, to me, my opinion, and being a black guy, but they were closed for more than 2 years, so through Darren and the zoning office, able to rescind on their conditional lease, shut them down, and Sam both bought the property, renovating it now. I believe he's going to rent it out. So where I'm going with this, over the several years, being Darren, Mike, and former trustees and you have worked to shut these establishments down. In Austintown, at one time, we had 4 or 5 massage parlors in the township, and over the years, able to shut them down, shut this down here, shut down the Go-Go Cabaret down there. They always seem as legitimate businesses, and always end up having some type of underlying where they're breaking a law on that. But not right now. We just have one business in the township now, after all those businesses have been shut down, and that's down in the 46 and 80 area. But I just want to thank Sam both for buying a property. And for Darren, and we were able, it took a long time to set these established and stuff.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Chief Frost, also, I'd like to say, we've seen that you put a lot of calls in this year and they were up, and we appreciate you. Our administration appreciates you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, call volume is definitely up, and
Yes.
it's even increased since the first of the year, so, our average runs. So I think it'll be a trend for all public safety, we'll be seeing that. We'll deal with it. First of all, I just want to say over the really cold weather, we needed to get the senior center up and running as a shelter. It was a necessary thing after talking to Ohio Edison and getting First Energy. And they did a great job of taking care during the Christmas time when we had the bad storms and wind. They did a great job of keeping up. For somebody to only be out of power for a couple of hours is pretty incredible with the amount of damage that was done. So I did receive a call at one point that the gentleman who was our liaison said that they weren't completely sure they could keep up with it. So at that point, we decided it was probably best to open up the senior center in case residents couldn't. Fortunately, we don't really have to take advantage of it. But where I'm going with this is Jim and his staff, especially Jessica at the senior center, they just bent over backwards when these things are needed. And again, they opened it up to us, made sure there was food and supplies there as well. So again, Jim, thank you very much to you and your staff, and it's a huge resource for us. We really rely on them. They step up everything. So I just want to thank them for that. The other issues under our fire department, I'll go down real quick. These are housekeeping things that we have to do at the beginning of every year. First one is to appoint me as our representative on the Township Hazmat Executive Board. Again, Austintown has a permanent seat on that, and traditionally the fire chief doesn't. They've not done in the past, and would like to continue. Second one is we have a mutual aid agreement with the Youngstown Air Base. They offer things that most fire departments can't with supplies and phone and things like that. So we maintain that mutual aid agreement, and I just needed to run it by a meeting every year. The third one is for me to be able to sign non-monetary mutual aid contracts. Again, these are with all the departments throughout the county and some of the other counties as well. It involves no money, but we have to cover ourselves with contracts, and they just happen different times throughout the
Can
year.
I stop you for just a
Sure.
minute? This is nothing new.
Nothing
This
new.
is always run that way.
Not
Okay.
every year. Yep.
All right, just making sure.
No, absolutely.
All right.
Actually, all 6 of these are every year we have to rerun through a trustee meeting to make everything legal, so workers' comp is covered.
Appreciate that, Chief. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Number 4 is we pay a 10 cent per capita membership fee to the hazmat team. So it's usually in the neighborhood $3,500 to $4,000. The county kicks in that same amount to help fund the hazmat team. This is a bargain. If we had to do this ourselves, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is an absolute bargain for us to pay up to $4,000 a year to be part of that. And that gives us unlimited access to the team. Number 5 is on the Metro Arson Strike Force, which is our task force. Basically, it's the arson county group. It's a $500 membership fee. So we pay that every year, which gives us the ability to call them in. It costs us nothing when we need extra help on arson calls. In addition, we have a couple of members on our fire department that are on this. And while they are called out doing this business, we cover them under the workers' comp agreements as well. So again, just running this through me like we always do. And the last one is to continue. We always have a contract with Chip Comstock, who is specializes in fire departments. He's an attorney, and a lot of times we run different things by him, so we keep him on a contract as needed. We spend very little money on it a year, but it's there in case we need it. So I'm asking that we pass all 6 of these as we do every year.
We need a motion that pass 1 through 6.
So
Thank you, Chief.
Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Ketchum?
At this time, we'll have Mike talk for Darren, since Darren is going to be here.
Yeah, Darren's over at County Court for the court case. Under number 1, there are the 4 parcels that are listed: 3886 Ascot Court, 906 Idlewood Road, 4470 Moline Avenue, 1705 South Raccoon Road. Of course, at this time of year, they're all for trash and debris and junk, and here he is. So pursuant to the reasons stated on the agenda, those 4, request a motion to request those 4 parcels of nuisance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ketchum?
Yes.
Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
I'd ask the board to approve a motion under ORC 505.87 and declare the following vehicle: a junk vehicle, 2463 Redgate Lane, an inoperable white Cadillac with an expired license plate GLY 7807, parked and exposed in the unintended driveway.
So moved.
Second. Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Ketchum?
Yes.
And I'd ask the board to schedule a trustees' public hearing for final determination of amendment 2022-04-C on Monday, February 6, 2023 at 6 p.m. pursuant to a letter of certification dated January 6, 2023 from the Austintown Township Trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ketchum? Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Mr. Todd Schaefer.
All I have is just to remind the public, we're continuing to take the live Christmas trees out of the park. To date, we have just under 300 trees that we've collected ourselves, and we'll be collecting those trees until January 31st.
Was it more or less this year?
We're about right on schedule for what we had last year.
Good. Mr. Jim Henshaw, the Senior Center. I enjoyed being there today. It was interesting.
Missed the cooking class.
I did. I missed the cooking class. You go ahead.
Okay. We did some demographic work to see an idea of how we're functioning as far as where people come from and things like that. And I'll share a few of them. These are the active members. We have quite a few members, but these are the ones that are actually there, come in and sign in and what have you, so we know they're there. Now, of that, there's 302 of them. 190 of them were from Austintown, 38 from Youngstown, 21 from Canfield, 10 from Mineral Ridge, and a whole bunch of other places have up to 7 from Boardman is the next bunch. So we cover a pretty wide area. Even Warren, given from Warren, take them down here, and they have a nice senior center up there. Our most popular classes are bingo, card playing, active exercise, our lunch and learn things, which are really excellent area. People really do good, and they give a talk to the people about different subjects. It's very nice. Bible study, local lunches, chair yoga and video yoga, Growing Your Way Fit, our blood pressures. Woodlands comes over to blood pressures every Wednesday. Tai Chi Kwan, and that's put on by Ohio State University. They have a teacher who goes to that. And our chair aerobics. So, and we have lots of other things. These are just the ones that are the most popular ones we have. And just from a gender perspective, we have 70 active males and 232 active females. So guys, if you're looking for somebody to and we average 84 people on Mondays, 95 on Tuesdays, 61 on Wednesdays, 118 on Thursdays, and 59 on Fridays.
So Mr. Henshaw just told you gentlemen where to go to get a date.
Yeah, like adult club.
Lori.
I just have my reports. I don't have anything final for 2022 yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay. Motion to accept December's report submitted to the board for review. A through E.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mrs. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Ketch?
And that was all per agenda, if you see that, C through E. New business. Motion to approve reasonable and necessary expenses for 2023 Ohio Township Association conventions, seminars, and clout meetings, and state audit and Bureau of Workmen's Compensation seminars attended by fiscal officer, trustees, and administrators.
So moved.
Mr. Ketch?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson? Mrs. Beavers?
Yes. A resolution authorizing Mike Dockery, Township Administrator, to sign documents for sale of parcel 48056002100 and 48056002200 located at 6748 Mahoning Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44515.
Second.
Mr. Ketch? Mrs. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Motion to approve property lease agreement between the Mahoning County Board of Commissioners for Mahoning County Solid Waste Management District for Austintown Township for $18,000 and to authorize Mike Dockery to execute agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Ketch?
Yes.
Motion to approve property lease agreement between the Austintown Township Trustees and Sleep Heavenly Peace, a nonprofit organization, Sleep Heavenly Peace, for a period of 1 year with possible renewal.
So moved. For discussion for explanation.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, you wanna give that a read?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll give that.
So, there are several properties throughout the township that we own, and we actually own one property on Barclay that is utilized as a temporary storage, and we actually have a garage there as well that's not really being utilized and it's collecting dust. There's a nonprofit that's actually out there that I saw on a Facebook post that they were looking for a new storage. If you guys don't know, Sleep in Heavenly Peace is a nonprofit that builds beds for the children here in the county for the bedless. There's a lot of kids sleeping on the floor. So right now, I believe the amount that they're paying for rent is like $600, and that's going up at their storage location and storing all their wood and the material they use to build these beds, as well as they're utilizing their homes as well. So a majority of their homes are taken up from these supplies. So I figured, hey, there's a nonprofit that does a really, really good job in assisting the community, and we have property that's just collecting dust. Why not do something that's good and actually meaningful for the community and help out this nonprofit to be more successful? So I got up with them, they looked at the garage, they said it's more than enough space, it's actually 3 times bigger than what they're using right now for storage. So I would like a year or even 6 months to a year for possible renewal, just to give them time to find another location, and if anything, that is $700 to $800 a month that they're saving, that they can utilize to actually build more beds. I believe it's like $70, $80 a bed. We would have to talk to the chairman on that one to find out the actual amount, but it would be able to save them, you know, to be able to maybe at least like 100 extra beds, just the money they're saving. And I figured the lease agreement does specify, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, that they will maintain the property. They'll mow it, they'll make sure that it's actually maintained, and what that will do is will free up our road department, so that way they can utilize their efforts elsewhere instead of mowing a piece of property that's really just being used for storage.
I also think that this is a great idea, and it's wonderful to have that, we're able to do that in Austintown. When you also said they will not be building any of the beds there, so they will not be making any kind of noise or anything.
Correct, we
That's
actually talked to Darren, it's zoned.
I just want the public
Yeah.
to know that, they're not building the beds there, this is just a place for them to store the
Yeah.
stuff, so.
Correct.
Yeah. I just thought maybe the public would like to know that.
No,
We weren't
absolutely,
having
no, I
them
agree.
going like that, so.
I'll second.
He seconded.
Mrs. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Ketch?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Absolutely.
Motion to approve the dance for general fund, $25,000 to zoning.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ketch? Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mrs. Beavers?
Yes. Per agenda, motion to approve the following employee holidays.
So moved.
Mrs. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Ketch?
Yes.
LLC Friday after Thanksgiving, off Columbus Day, Sunday, December 24th, and Monday, December 10th are holidays for dispatch, police, patrol, and fire crew. Need a motion for that?
Well, that's part of the other.
That's part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was a little confused because they had, okay. All right.
And over.
Ohio Liquor Control Division. Whether to,
Let's do one for Halloween, that's where that motion goes.
wow. I knew there was something there. What's that? Motion to set date and time for Halloween for Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, from 5:30 to 7:30.
So moved.
Second.
As long as we have the
5:30 to
same weather.
7:30.
As long as we have the same weather, every other year before this past year has been raining all.
When my kids were little, it was 6 to 8. They changed it 5:30 to 7:30.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mrs. Devers?
Yes.
Mr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ohio Liquor Control Division. Whether to request a hearing on notice to legislative authority to transfer a permit to Sylvia Marks LLC DBA Pit Stop Drive-Through 1744 South Raccoon Road, Austintown Township, Youngstown, Ohio 44515. Permit number 7677200, permit class C1, C2, D6 from Nasser Rumbai, I know I killed that name. DBA Pit Stop Drive-Through 1744 South Raccoon Road, Austintown Township, Youngstown, Ohio 44515, permit number 7183970. What about this? We have no objections, okay. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sanchez?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mrs. Devers?
Yes. At this time, we can have some public response, and it will be on camera. Yes, Sam, you may go, Sam.
Who's this guy? He hasn't been around forever. How have you been, sir?
Good. You won't want me back.
Oh, no.
Sam Swallow, 4492 Vial Road. Basically, I'm here because last Monday, I got about 3 or 4 phone calls and a couple stop-bys. At least they weren't drive-bys, but pertaining to a petition signing held at the Mahoney Valley 911 Memorial. Before I get into it, tell you a little history. First of all, this memorial was the dream and founding and building of the late Mr. Pat Conley, who formed a committee, and I've been on it since day one. And it was always our policy, no matter what, not to have any political activities there or around that area, or even at our meetings. I was on my way up until my wife told me to just call Austintown PD. And I did, and they just told me to stay at my home and do not go up there. So I basically sat at my home talking to a young officer, and which was a wise thing to do. Because I'm kind of from the old school, and but that is not a place for anybody on future endeavors in politics or anything political. I don't care what it is. It may be a public area, but it also is a memorial site for those men and women who fell on that day. And not to, not only that day, but since that day. All those who served and fell since that day, whether it be in the military or safety force. And to me, it's a slap in the face to do that. I know you have a right because it's a public area, but show a little respect, and if you want to endeavor into politics, do it on your own somewhere else. I mean, we have a committee that's up there daily, during spring. We have students from Austintown Fitch who have shown more respect for that day than those individuals that were up there on that day. We have the junior ROTC come up here and work. We had the 7th and 8th grade volleyball team, the girls volleyball team from AMS. They come over every day prior to 9/11 and bring the kids over. So if you want to do anything in politics, do it within the community. And stay the hell out of my memorial. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, Sam.
Hi, my name is Johanna DeBlock. I live at 4710 East Webb Road, and this is my first time here, so I'm sorry, I'm pretty nervous. This is a really cool room, but I recognize some of the faces. I know Rob, I voted for him. I know Monica, she is friends with my neighbors, and I just recently became aware of Steve. We, on our road, I'm precinct committee woman for Austintown Precinct 7 for the Republican Party. We on our road had a concern recently with the bridge being closed, leading over into Mineral Ridge. That we had a lot of traffic that didn't know we existed as a community there on that closed portion of the road. We had a lot of criminals coming down the road during the time that the bridge was closed. And they were stealing things from our properties. We had neighbors report that they had things stolen. I caught on surveillance camera that I had firewood stolen. And when I reported it to the police, they came back and took out my mailbox. We needed traffic lights on our streets, and we didn't know how to get them. So the neighbors were asking me, can you do something? I said, I don't know, and I don't know how. I'm a homeschooling mother, I homestead, I'm really busy. My husband's a pilot at Skyward Aviation, which is out of state, and I'm constantly taking over all of the projects in our neighborhood. So I said, maybe I can get in touch with the township somehow. And I was looking and I couldn't find any live stream to these meetings. So it's been probably 2 months now that I've been trying to figure out how this process goes and to get public comment and to come and figure out what department to talk to, and I can't see anything. And as I'm digging deeper, I'm finding things that I don't like. And I want transparency. I want to see what's happening, and every single resident has a right to see what's happening here in this meeting because we voted you all in. So I'm going to ask nicely before I have to come back every single meeting that I would like to watch. And I promise if I can watch on live stream, I'll stay at home. Also, that memorial doesn't belong to any individual. That memorial was for all of us. And we have a right to the public property, to access the public property that our tax money has paid for. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. Thank you. Anybody else would like to come up and talk?
Steve Charlecki, 5600 Title Crossing. I am pleased that this young lady came up and made a remark. I know Stan for many years. Stan and I go back, we work together. And I agree with this young lady that it is public property. And you could have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you could have 10 garbage cans there for trash sitting on this private Sam's property. And cars come in, they dump stuff, and I go there and I pick it up. Because that's where I take mine, I don't do it at the curb. I was at that signing, I definitely was at that signing. And what I saw at that signing, I didn't see anything that looked criminal or abusive or anything. You drove through, you made your signature, because for months and months and months, we've asked Mr. Kent to step down. Only because we don't find, we're not a jury, only because of the black mark that we have in Austintown. And we don't need anyone else telling us that this is my property and stay off of it. I go there every 9/11 because I respect that property, and they did a nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Altizer, 4402 Barrington Drive. I love the 9/11 Memorial, and I agree that it's a very sacred place. I lost a very good friend from college that day in New York, and I take it to heart. There was a lot of stuff on Facebook, and I think we should clarify a few things for me. Who owns the parking lot between the recycling and the memorial? Is that township property or is it the schools? There was a lot of stuff going on about, there was a swap of the property, so who owns that?
The property's owned by the school. As part of the deal, when we swapped that property, we agreed to manage the property west of the drainage ditch. So that would include 911 Park and the recycle area.
Okay. Yeah, I was at the signing. In fact, I'm one of the chair people to kick Ken out. I thought it was a very well-run day. There was a lot of people going to recycling and they came over and signed. Something that was brought up, is there a law at that property for us to gather signatures? There was talk about there's a law or there's not a law. That was in an email that was made public. Was it decided that there's a law or not that we can be there to sign?
It is.
President, well,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the law was signed during the Constitution when it was written. You are allowed to have a peaceful protest any way you want. I don't care what it is you're protesting. If you guys are protesting against me, I don't care. We get elected to ensure our policy procedures and our Constitution is defended. And it's our job to do that regardless on how it looks for one person or another. So in essence, yeah, it's your right, it's your First Amendment, it's your right to gather peacefully as long as you guys weren't interfering with anyone, it's perfectly fine. So to answer your
They
question,
came to
yeah.
us, we didn't go to anyone. We made a date and a time that we were going to be there. And if you wanted to sign, you came. If you didn't want to, if you didn't want a part of that, you didn't come. And then there was emails going, oh, it's got to have a law.
I'm assuming, I know what emails you're talking about, so does everybody else that's here. On December 31st, around 1 o'clock, me and Mr. Robert Santos had a conversation. Neither one of us knew if you were whether allowed or not. At that time, me and Mr. Santos did not know if it was a political thing or if it was something different. At that time, neither one of us knew. That earlier in that evening or Monday morning sometimes, Mr. Santos had written that we would have to let you do that. At that time, I thought it was a political thing and did not know that we could have political things there. And I have learned that we can. And you have the right to protest. I don't have a problem with that. I was trying to figure out if it was legal or not. Yes, I found out that it was, but as I said, December 31st, Mr. Santos and I had some conversation at 1 o'clock. He did not know either. Okay?
To clarify, I'm done with phone calls. There's a lot of controversy comes with them, but I did contact the lawyer. I did notify you, but you know what? I can sit here and vomit all we want. It's all that he said, she said. It's over, it's done with. You're authorized to do what you want as long as it's safe and it's not going to interfere with anything else. So I'm not going to sit there and do what he said, she said, but you are authorized to do it.
Thank you. Just one other thing. I don't know a whole lot about the sunshine law, but was that violated or almost violated when there was an ask for a vote?
He did not ask me for a vote.
I'm going to tell you, sorry.
I just never likes to interfere with what I...
No, I apologize.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God. Is this fifth grade?
He never asked me for a vote. He did ask for an opinion. I would never vote on anything like that.
I thought it was Mr. Kent that asked for a vote.
Mr.
which
Kent
is
was
That's what I
against.
said, yes. He
That's
asked me-
against the sunshine
He did not
law.
ask me for a vote. He asked me for an opinion.
He
What
utilized,
was my thoughts, is what he asked me, I'm pretty sure. I don't have enough in front of me. It was
Does
what
anyone
was
have the
my thoughts.
emails to see, was it asked for a vote?
the email was, it takes two to move, so what's your opinion? But here's the situation. This is getting out of hand. This is causing a lot of redirection on what's really, really important. There is an email, there is, and there was an attempt to stop constitutional rights from being put into play, which I think is completely wrong. And I don't think any elected official should ever stop something like that, period, the end. But there was a call for a vote. Now, whether or not that was illegal, I honestly feel that there was no reason to call for a vote, so it was kind of a bad judgment But there's no way, like, for example, the police officer pulls you over and wants to write a ticket. We don't go and vote to see if that person wants to go ahead and write a ticket. The policy is already put in place. The policy is already put in place, and you are allowed to have your constitutional rights, so there's no reason. We cannot even say, yes, we're gonna stop you from doing constitutional rights, but then you can sue us and we'll lose a little money we have. So, there were some discrepancies. As for the sunshine law, I don't feel it was, because it wasn't really necessary business. If he asked for, if somebody asked for, like, hey, I wanna go and spend $10,000 on a toilet seat, what do you guys think? Yeah, that's a violation.
Well, I will say, just speaking for myself, that I will continue to try to get votes, signatures, I should say, on the petition to send to a judge in an attempt to get Mr. Kent out of office.
Thank you. Do we have any more that would like to come in on camera?
Does it all have to be regarding Kent? Can it be about other business?
I would love that.
I have something to say regarding Kent.
Well, thank you.
Matthew Rosell, 3897, Edinburgh Drive. Everybody knows me, everybody's seen me before. Actually not here to really start drama. After listening to everything, I was here just kind of because I was here when you took over before, when Steve Kent did step down as far as chairman. I wanted to see what was going to happen and what has changed. And everybody says, and everybody's held accountable. These men are all held accountable as far as how have you gotten better? How have you made Austintown better? How have you done this? How have you done that? Man, this isn't anything toward you personally, but what have you done better for Austintown the last 6 months? You have had this position, you said that you wanted that position a whole year, and you still can't even get through a meeting correctly, let alone some of the other things that are going out of hand with emails. I personally want to know and request emails from our township trustees. I think that's possible, because I really want to see what the heck is going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of going back and forth. I was at that signing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with people going out and expressing what they want to do. They want to go out on a Facebook, they're slandered, they're making people saying stuff about the family. Mr. Kent, for sure, I know said stuff about myself. I went out and did signatures, and they were trying to stop it. I mean, this is crazy. If you're going to go through emails and do all this stuff, let the public see it. I know there are some public emails right now that I have not even seen. Some other people have, but I am requesting, I want to see the emails. I want to see what you guys speak of and what you guys sit here and think is Austintown Township business versus what is getting you to the top and doing something for you. Because honestly, I feel like in the 6 months that I've been here, I don't know you on a personal level or anything like that, ma'am. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I feel like you have not done anything. In the 6 months that I've sat here and watched everything from go on, from time, it's just, to me, it's just funny because you've got a person here that was saying something to you and you try to cut him off like it was 5th grade. And I've learned from myself that you and I had a spat, I stopped, and I learned from my mistake. But yet here you are in a power position and you can't even conduct you can't even conduct a business or votes or anything like that completely correct like you're supposed to. And yet you want to run a business like Austintown. You haven't even been a part of the committee. You haven't even been at the committee. You haven't shown up. And you have this in emails. Say you don't. Tell me you're lying.
I am not lying.
Tell me I'm lying.
Okay, that's enough. You can have a seat.
But I'm saying, no, I'm not sitting down because we have the, I want the email.
I don't want the emails. I appreciate your opinion.
Here's when I don't mean to
Yes,
interrupt.
no, go ahead.
When someone has a public request, like you want emails, like specifically what type of emails and what, so that way we know what to give you, so that way when it comes from minister, like which ones, like
If I have to sit back after this meeting and stuff like that and get it, that's fine. We can sit down and disperse that.
It just has to be like which ones you need, like you want the emails, like I said today, I'm trying to find dates.
Do I have to give you like certain
or
dates or a month?
No, it's just like what
Over
topic.
like the past month?
Like-
I want anything that's been going on with like, I know for sure the petition, that alone was crazy. Like, that's what I
That
want
one's
to see.
public, that's easy.
Okay. I
So
want to see
that,
that.
that's specific where it's like, okay, like if you guys request anything specifically, then it's okay, good. If you say just emails, I can't even count how many emails.
I want to
are
know when
out
she
there.
sits there and has the time, she says she has the time to do this and that, she wants the time to do this and that, but then she turns around and tells people that she don't have the time to do it. So that makes no sense to me. That
You
makes
told me
no
you
sense
don't
to
have
me.
the time
Huh?
You said before in our meeting you didn't have the
to
time.
go to these meetings.
You said the webinar meetings are nothing to learn.
That's webinar, committees, please listen to webinar.
I don't have to be on that kind of committee.
So I would like
You
to
should be
see.
telling me what
So
you
as I'm
want me to
sitting
do.
here, I would like to see,
Alright, let's
I'd like to,
move.
see- that's all I'm asking is.
That's fine, what you need is to sit out after so we can get
Transparency,
more.
that's what the lady said, right where she's at.
Matt, if I may.
Yeah.
So stay after so we can find out specifically which emails you're looking at so we can make sure you do get provided that documentation. It is free to you, but let's let anyone else speak to fine, but once we find out what specifically why.
Thank you.
We'll get it to you.
Thank you for your opinion. Sir, would you like to come up? Thank you, sir.
My name's Carl Clay. I'm gonna give the address of my business because this is what it pertains at 3700 Oakwood. I have a major safety issue. I've talked to Mr. Santos about it. And we had one point in time talked about a no parking ban on Oakwood. And I'm just asking or kind of demanding that something be done with that corridor, especially one night when I came back in 1:30 in the morning and the group across the street, I had to wait for them to move their vehicles in front of my electric gate. And then when they did move, I got out of my limo and they stole the damn thing. You know, took 15 minutes for Austintown to get there, that's fine. I mean, they returned it. But I'm trying to start another business besides my business I have there already. And I'm not gonna deal with it. If we can't get a no parking ban there, I'm just gonna hook a chain to the cars in front of my gate and take my truck, put it right in the middle of damn Oakwood. Every weekend, it's a nuisance. We need to do something about it.
Darren, how do we go about doing something for this gentleman?
You can circulate a petition to establish no parking on both sides of the street. You have to have at least 51% of the property owners. There's not that many down there, not the tenants, the property owners. Mr. Dockery can give you the petition. If you can only get the parking ban on one side of the street, historically, they put the ban on the side of the fire hydrants, so that the fire department can access the fire hydrant.
My question is, I got an electric gate. Now, I mean, we've talked about it. They park in front of the electric gate, that's the entrance to the complex. If there's a safety issue, Mr. Frost and Chief cannot get into my complex at any point in time because they block all the gates with their cars.
We had that conversation, I mean, I know,
But Austintown gets tired of me calling every weekend. Hey, this is Carl Clay from
but that's
there.
what they get paid for. It
I
really is.
understand that.
I mean, our guys, I've talked to you about this before, that they try to do their best to patrol there during those times, but if someone is parked in front of your gate, your access point, that they cannot be there, you just contact them, they'll send someone over.
Well, I know, I mean, they did, but every weekend they call, they're like, okay, we'll send somebody down. In the meantime, that one weekend, I had to sit there and wait for these guys to move, and I got out, they stole my limo. I mean, I'm trying to start a limo business, and I got 5 limos on the weekends. I gotta get out and close the gates. I mean, just the other night, I moved the pylons and opened the gate, pulled the bus in, closed the gate, and some idiot parked right in front of the thing before I got a chance to put pylons up to block that entrance.
What is your first name again, sir?
Carl Clay.
Carl. If your business is operating 24/7 and they're parked on your property there, then they're stopping your business, then we can go down there. I didn't know, me and Trustee Santos talked about it. We can go ahead and tow the cars out of there, and I'll let our guys know. I wasn't realized you're open 24/7.
Well, I mean, I drive private limo, plus I'm starting a limo business. They're all parked at my shop, at my detail shop. But if I was to go in there at 1:30 in the morning to go to work, I'd have to call you guys to get the damn gate opened up so I could go into work in my own shop.
All right, I will talk with I'll double check with the prosecutor, and then, I will get with you.
I mean, because we all know what goes on over there, and at some point in time, there's gonna be more than just cars getting towed, because we all know what's gonna happen over there. We know the crowd,
Sir,
and it's a little bit disturbing.
sir, are you interested in getting no parking signs?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to stick around after me. If you want to stop at the zoning office,
Okay.
I'll pull up those properties. There's not a lot of them there. It's
Right.
not like a residential street.
I know, it's more of a commercial.
Exactly. And
Right.
you need to get signatures from the property owners, not the tenants.
Right.
And I think a simple form letter that you send to them, stamped address envelope, they send it back, you have your signature.
Right.
Without them really knowing.
Yeah, I mean-
Probably some of the tenants probably won't want it. But if you want to stop in the zoning office, I'll be more than happy to help you facilitate that. We don't circulate the petitions. That's something that's done by the property owners. In most cases, it's residential property owners.
Well, I mean, like, my property owner, he's all, whatever we gotta do.
Yeah,
I mean, I've put no parking signs up, just some cheap ones from Home Depot, and they rip them down off the fence. And they park in front of the fence.
Okay. But if you want to stop at the zoning office, just, let's get together after dinner. I'll get you those addresses of the
Right.
property owners.
Any chance you guys know when they're gonna pave that road?
That's not so.
Never.
I mean, I know it's a county road inside Austintown Township,
Sir, I
but
think that's a county road.
it is a county road.
Yeah.
It's county maintained, but I mean,
Yeah,
every year it's
that's,
getting worse and worse. My customers don't like coming down to my shop for it.
that's a question you have to put to the county engineer.
I just figured I'd ask you guys, what you guys think.
It's part of that, it's part of the tax that you just passed over the, last year.
Well, yeah,
So if
that
you look-
usually goes Canfield, Boardman, and Poland.
If you look at the diagram, it's in color code of when they were gonna actually try to, pave those roads, so, I don't know if that's from Kennedy.
I mean, I know, it's just Meridian 4 Mile always seems to get overlooked by the county.
Well,
So
they redid Meridian a couple of years ago. They did a
Yeah.
complete upgrade.
they just redid 4 Mile.
Right.
But that little corridor of Oakwood is ignored.
When that tax was approved, there was a certain amount that was going to be coming off the town board. They kind of had that out front when they were trying to approve that. So now that's money that will be managed by County County, not us,
Right.
the trustees. But Austintown should see it, and really, they've taken pretty good care of us, because we're in probably the last phase of the TIF casinos, and that money has gone to pay county roads. That's a 10-year TIF, and it's gonna come to an end shortly.
I mean, it's just aggravating for me as a business owner that gotta do all this stuff and gotta listen to all my clients go, hey, your road's horrible, you know. And I understand it's commercial, but my biggest concern is the safety issue I have. Because I'll be honest with you, I carry when I'm out on my limo, and when I pull in at night, after they stole my limo, I don't feel safe down there as a business owner after 12 o'clock at night. And when they block my gate, like I told the dispatch one night, said either you guys come and tow it, or I'm gonna hook my truck up and yank the son of a bitch down in the middle of Oakwood. Somebody can hit it, I don't care. So that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else on camera?
I realize I've not made a lot of friends here in this room, but I got the problem. My name's Brenda Ryder, 4422 Barrington. But I'm not the cause, I'm the result. Basically, when I spoke to the victim's dad, and I said, I won't do this unless you're all right, and he goes, well, the Band-Aid's been ripped off, let's start healing. So here we are healing. All we want is for Ken to step down. And if it takes a judge to do that, then that's what it takes. It takes a village to get him elected, and it's going to take a village to get him out of here. But I mean no disrespect to 9/11, but I didn't cause this. He did.
Thank you for your opinion, Brenda. Anyone else on camera? Go ahead.
I'm done.
Share? He's just drinking.
I got a balance for, I'm sorry. My name is Bob Marshall, 3406 Starwood Drive, Austintown, Canfield mailing address. Today's July, maybe I haven't drinking, I don't know. Today's January the 9th, and man, I'll tell you what, this has been one hell of a meeting. And if the
ones down the road are like this. I mean, I believe in peace, unity, tranquility. That's all they preached about New Year's Eve. We are in a world of turmoil. This country agrees to disagree. So everybody has their opinions and everybody has their rights to their opinions. I respect everybody's opinions. And I'm an officer at the Eagles. I have meetings too, once a month. But what we do at our meetings is we have an officer meeting first. All the officers get together, we talk about the problems of the club, we hash things out there. Then when we have a regular meeting, we try to keep it kind of smooth. Once in a while we get a surprise attack, but most of the times we're all on the same page. And there's a lot of people here I like, and all of you too. And I believe that you're front and center, representing Austintown, and that's great. And that's what you were voted to do. I don't agree with the arguments and disagreements and attacks and stuff like that. I don't know if you all have get together before the regular meeting, but maybe you should, just to hash things out, because we want a smooth transparency and just a smooth atmosphere, because that's what, well, let's put it this way. See that camera over there, and you'll be facing at me because it puts 50 pounds on you. But anyway, there's going to be clips on tonight's news. Different things that, you know, negative stuff. A lot of negative stuff today. And we're not about that. Austintown's a good community. And I just wish we all could get along. I know in a month I'm going to be talking to the police and the fire department. We're going to be giving them a donation from the Eagles. But that's what we want to do. We do stuff for the community. You guys do stuff for the community. I know maybe not everybody here agrees with me, but I think everybody's attentions here are in the right place. And it's just that we have to maybe not show the negativism in front of everybody, and just show a little bit more kindness. And if possible, love. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Bill Goss. I live at 115 Marcia here in Austintown. First thing I want to say is, standing to the police officers, the police department and the fire department, today is National, I believe, Police Officers tribute to them. I have a question for the zoning and for the trustees. You went over some nuisances on the houses here. What are you guys doing with the house on 1515 Maple Crest?
In December, or whatever, last week, might have been December 12th, the trustees passed a resolution to move forward with demolition if it's not rehab. The Mahoney County Board of Health, I think in October or November, declared it uninhabitable. And it's been vacant probably about 4 years. It's a mess, and it's my goal to get the house down. And I would hope, I hate to give deadlines, but I would think by the end of March,
Well,
that's a vacant lot.
The company that owns it, this R&K Property Management, do they have any other properties in the township?
That I don't know. There are about $32,000 in arrears on that one. When they had-
35,000.
Well, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I did some research on it. That's because it's I'm speaking for some of the neighbors. I have friends that live in there, and they've said they've complained with no result. And I know for the fire department, it's a big hazard for them. I don't know if anybody's aware, the front window's busted out of it now. The siding's coming off of it, and it's got 3 feet of water in the driveway.
Well, in terms of not responding to the property, I don't know how many times we've cut the grass there. Now,
Lots.
I will tell you this, that at least for the past year, maybe the past year and a half, the elderly couple right next door has been cutting the grass. He had the ride.
Mr. Carlson.
Yeah, I've talked to him quite a few times, and what I told them is the township isn't gonna be able to do anything more than cut the grass and remove debris until it's condemned. And it has to be condemned by either the building inspector or the fire inspector. And I've had the fire inspector look at it at least once a year for the last 4 years. Matter of fact, normally I ask him to look at it after the winter time. But the Board of Health, I filed a number of complaints through the years just to see if they could do anything. But for the most part, the township has been taking care of it. Mr. Carson started running it. And like I said, the Board of Health finally declared it uninhabitable, so the township can move forward. I will tell you, the previous boards, I don't know if this board's, if this is a new board, but overall, since like 2009, Austintown's taken down 97 homes through nuisance. Most of those were declared structurally unsound by the fire inspector, probably about 10 of them by the Board of Health. I don't have much luck with the third entity. But it's a process, and normally when we take a house down, it's been vacant 4 or 5 years, and I get it, but I cannot take it down until it meets the legal criteria. It does now. We're going through the due diligence phase, and then hopefully, like I said, by the end of March, it'll be filled. And then what will happen is we'll ask the prosecutor to put it back in the foreclosure, and then probably no one will bid on it, and if no one does, then it'll just stay there, or the township can take ownership. But I would really like Mr. and Mrs. Carson, when that time comes, I'd like for them to acquire it, or whoever is directly behind it, somebody who's a buddy. I doubt that the company that owns the apartments would have any interest in it. But that's the process. It's not an efficient process in terms of just aesthetics. You can't tear something down because it looks bad. It has to be structurally unsound or declared uninhabitable by the Board of Health. And that's a timely process. I would say that, with the exception of houses that catch on fire that have no insurance, the homes that we've torn down, and the homes throughout my entire career, even when I worked for another township, they're usually vacant 4 or 5 years before you can get it to that point. And what I call it is, the fruit's got to be right before you pick it. Well, finally, this fruit is right, and the trustees are picking it. The trustees are the ones tearing it down. I'm just doing all the legwork. It wasn't. I'll tell you this. It was in lien foreclosure. Somebody bid on it. Somebody in Braddock, Pennsylvania, because I gave that person notice, and they bid on it without seeing it. And my understanding, they went out and looked at it and walked away. Matter of fact, the prosecutor has an action against them for non-compliance from not following what they said. So, but I have not talked to the Carsons. The police have put a notice on the house, and but I told Mrs. Carson as soon as I can get a condemnation, we will move forward.
Okay, so there's activity. I couldn't find nothing on it, but I know it's been a nuisance for a while for some of the neighbors in the area. I go by it 4 times a day, and it's just like, I've seen the township over there cutting the grass for it. I was not aware that Mr. Carson was cutting the grass for it.
Yeah, I think last year we may have been over there twice tops. But in the previous years, I made sure with the vacant homes that we cut it at least once a month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else that would like to come up on camera? Okay, we have off camera. Okay. At this time, we'll get remarks from the board members, and that will be Steve.
Wish everybody a happy new year. Chief, please let everybody know that we appreciate that. Thank you.
I think it's great. Look forward to a good 2023. Hopefully we'll have a great holiday, a great Christmas and New Year's, and look forward to continuing working diligently and ensuring you guys are notified of everything that's going on.
Well, good evening. I have made a little bit of notes here for myself, and this was if I was going to co-chair or be right here in this seat. I want to start off by saying I'm honored to serve for a full term as Austintown Trustee Chairman. for 2023. It's a great honor, and thank you. However, no matter where we sit up here in front of you, we are equal in a team, a united team that needs to share ideas, differences of opinion. We all have differences of opinion, and everybody has made us aware of that today. Bring back what we've learned, divide and conquer the issues, and continue to improve our great community. It's okay to disagree. I'm sure we have some of that this evening. My next comment is, January is School Board Appreciation Month. And I want to recognize a member of the Austintown School Board. At the end of last year, the school board Vice President Kathy Mock was presented the Outstanding Leadership Award at the 36th Annual Ohio Education Service Center Association Award. This award recognized current community leaders who personally render a specific leadership service that significantly benefits all of the local school districts in the county school system or education service center. Mock is credited with bringing the Dolly Parton Imaginary Library to Mahoning County in 2014, which supported nearly 7,000 Mahoning County students and families. Additionally, Mock became the director of the education for Youngstown Mahoning Valley United Way in 2012. She coordinated several education, including Success by Six, which my grandson Owen took part in this year. And I can say that it is a fantastic program for these young minds. So on behalf of myself and our administration, I want to congratulate Kathy and thank her for all she does for the children in Austintown and Mahoning County. Finally, I've been very fortunate in my life where I'm able to give back when I can financially. Today I was able to donate $500 to the pet supply and food of Mahoning County Dog Pound. As you all may know, their facility is located in Austintown. Being a pet lover, I am, it gave great pride to give back to them. Please, if you've never been there, check out all they do for those lost and abandoned pets. I guess with that being said, a motion to move executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Katz?
Yes.
Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Shannon?
Yes.